Hello, everybody. How are we doing? Lady, please. Hey, Koa,
Yeah.
would you give Lady some food? Gonna get some ice cream? Hell yeah. Janto58, thank you for subscribing. I'm on time today. You are. Not that I had a specific time in mind. I look very pettable today. Koa. They're calling me pettable. Nothing for that? You just shrug at that? How dare you? How dare you? Do I have glasses? Not on me right now, no. Why? Was watching Riverboat Jack. We love Riverboat Jack around these parts. Hey, El Salve. Make me think of a Star Wars outfit or two. Yeah, this is so I just got this, not this part, but I just got this cute little sweater underneath. It is giving like very 70s kind of sci-fi. It was super cheap. Well, yeah, no, it was like $5-6 on sale at a local thrift store, so I just got it, and I don't know. I think it's kind of cute. It's neat. It's not my favorite outfit I've ever put together. What are you doing?
I'm gonna go audition for.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. You don't need to say the name of it. I love you, baby. Proud of you. Text me. Let me know how it goes. You're going to kill it. Christian mummy vibes? When you say mummy, do you mean like the mythical creature or mommy? And I am additionally, so if you hear me going, I am sleeving a deck right now while we are waiting for everybody to trickle in. Because I'm still deciding if I am going to go to my local store for Magic tonight or just vibing. Straight up sleeving it, and by sleeving, I mean my deck. Pew, pew, pew. Oh, so fresh. I got in early on a DD stream. Just wanted to say, love the Daily Wire slop you had to endure. Also wanted to thank you for your cool interview video you did with the Paradise Killer devs. Thank you for watching that. The Paradise Killer video is still one of my favorites. I love doing that kind of stuff. What kind of deck am I running? I built so I'm kind of trying to challenge myself and use a lot of cards that I already have and go back through when I'm building decks. So I'm not like, buying and spending stuff. I'm taking apart a lot of old decks lately, or ones that I just don't really fuck with. And I'm building Altair Ibn Lahad from Assassin's Creed. The Mardu Assassins, which I just thought was a very, again, for those who don't know me and my deck building style, I don't really like, I don't really go on EDH Rec or anything. I kind of just put shit together. Piccolo the Goat, this sounds weird, but your content has helped me get back into One Piece for some reason. I am so curious how that is. Going for the suburban mom look today. I think some of y'all have things for moms that you need to reckon with. Isn't the Living Dead an oxymoron? I mean, that's the point of it. It is an oxymoron. It is. What's your opinion on the Prime Video series The Boys? I watched the first 3 seasons. I thought it was good. I thought it was all right. Amber agrees. What the fresh hell are we looking at today? Look, I don't want to be too. Part of the reason why I'm just like vibing and putting some cards in sleeves is because y'all, it's rough out here. It's rough fucking business. Canadian Goose, thank you for 5. Canadian, hey DD, loved your vid on Daily Wire Pendragon series, trying to get caught up with your other content. Oh, thank you. As always, I have more stuff, more stuff coming. So do not worry. There's going to be a lot of other things happening. Loving the turtleneck. Thank you. Yes, I do have the original lamb chop. I can probably send it to you. I thought his career. So, End of Tectone is the fun video that we probably won't get to today. But I wanted something a little bit more, not the most heinous thing in the world. And that sounded pretty okay. That sounded better than some of the other shit we have to deal with and talk about. Article by The Needle. I don't think it is. It is, actually. What is the, what's the why? Give me the T. Because I can just take that off of the list. I can't take it out of the fucking thumbnail. Or out of the, what's it called? Mixed day today. I have a migraine, but also have tits now, so 5 out of 10. Fair. Have I seen the return video of Melanie Mac? Did she have a... What do you mean the return? What do you mean? Hey, what do you mean? The return video? Was she gone? That's kind of news to me, I guess. Released an updated dialogue skipper for Borderlands 4. I don't know if that would be even enough to get me to play Borderlands 4, I'm gonna be real. Who's my favorite boys character? Honestly, it would be it's been so long. I don't remember like any of the characters' names really. I haven't watched it in long enough to say with any amount of assuredness. Info from 4, interested in getting clicks and panicking people. Okay. Well, thank you for letting me know. I guess I will cut that as a video because that sucks. That's annoying. Sorry, I'm almost done sleeving. Read marks 420. See, now I'm bummed I put the trans registration thing in because everybody's gonna fucking. It's from a article that we won't be looking at because I was made aware that apparently it's more about fear mongering than spreading good information. Am I single sleeving or double sleeving? I mean, it depends on the card. I put all of my foils in double sleeves, basically. That's just useless in this deck. Yeah, Sassy Sassa, we're goddamn. Just don't worry about the trans registration thing. Hello, how's everybody doing today? Made sloppy joes? Hell yeah. Sailing the seas of cheese. I can pretty safely say I have not heard that Primus album. But man, the Prairie Hill. Now I'm just shuffling everything together. So I'll be done here. The Prairie Hill verdict is fucking so scary and so fucked up right now for everything. Yeah, it's about the thing that we're looking at on stream. Well, do I have my no, I'm just looking at stuff. The Prairie Hill thing is what will be. Who's Tectone again? Tectone's one of the fucking Asmongold orbiters who was at Mythic Talent. And, well, no, because he's actually more of an Asmon orbiter than anybody else because he's fucking been riding Asmon's coattails for ever, basically. Only reason you clicked was to hear about the trans registration thing. I am sorry. I usually cover 2 to 3 topics in a big way in a video or in a stream, and that was one of the ones I had planned before somebody told me better. So, yeah, I'll just join in or do the Prairieland thing now that I'm done shuffling, done sleeving. Just let the deck sit for a little bit. Let the sleeves get crispy. Why do I look like a space smuggler? Everybody's saying I look spacey. What the hell-y? What the hell-y? Death of Atari. What's up? Just joined. Are we going to talk about something awesome and wholesome chungus today? I've got bad news. Bad news. It's the turtlenecky thing. I think it's the turtleneck and this like little robe thing. I don't know. I think it's cute. Why do I look like episode 7 layout or episode 5 layout? I do not know. Yeah, so let's go to what happened in Prairie Hill. So this is from a couple days ago, or yeah, just 2 days ago. Trump's attempts to brand anti-fascism as terrorism is on trial. A case in Texas testing whether or not the Trump admin will be able to punish wide swaths of protesters if an event turns violent. The case itself didn't start as something so momentous or even clearly tied to any terrorism at all. It began with fireworks outside an immigration jail on July 4th in Alvarado. Demonstrators shouted into a bullhorn outside the Prairieland Detention Center while one spray-painted "fuck you pigs" on a guard shack and another slashed the tires of a detainee transportation vehicle. When a police officer arrived and drew his gun on one of the fleeing protesters, Benjamin Song, a Marine-turned-activist toting an AR-15, allegedly shot first. The police fired his pistol 3 times in the dark, hitting nothing. Song kept shooting, then escaped, only to get caught weeks later in Dallas. The federal case originally filed against all but one was straightforward: attempted murder of a police officer. But the case took on a completely different path after an unrelated event some 1,000 miles away: the assassination of right-wing influencer and organizer Charlie Kirk. So if you haven't been keeping up with what has been going on in Prairieland, in the Prairieland case, this is one of the most momentous, and I don't mean that in a praiseworthy way. This is one of the most significant precedents that has been set legally in years. I'm going to be honest. And I don't think it's an accident that not a lot of people are talking about it, not a lot of people are calling attention to it. Because the precedent that has been set here is to continue the Trump administration's delineation of any dissent as worthy of prosecution. And that goes down to what we're going to see is that while it starts as, and while the conservative right is trying to portray it as a matter of, oh, well, you shot at a cop, obviously you are going to be sent to federal prison. Anybody implicated, anybody tangentially related to the case, even people who did nothing, and we're going to read about this, who did nothing but transport zines carrying anarchist, anarchist political sentiment, are being charged federally. I need to tunes. Thank you for $5. How did you? Sorry, I can't tune in the rest of the stream. I'm heading to a Iran invasion protest here in Nashville. Awesome. Hell yeah. Wish I could be out there with you. Congratulations. So this is a bit of the backstory there and how Charlie Kirk's assassination tied into that. On September 22nd, days after blaming assassination on anti-fascists, Donald Trump classified Antifa as a domestic terror organization. This legal designation led to the National Security Presidential Memorandum known as NSPM-7, which deployed the nation's powerful Joint Terrorism Task Force against anti-fascists and ordered the Attorney General to crack down on civil disorder as domestic terrorism. Weeks later, on October 15th, the U.S. Attorney's Office filed an indictment using the Prairieland Detention Center protesters, accusing the Prairieland Detention Center protesters of, quote, providing material support to terrorists. Now, here's the precedent that they're setting, and that is to be as loose and liberal with any definition they give when it comes to what constitutes terrorist action, terrorist sentiment, domestic terrorism, civil disorder, and trying to wrap that all under the banner of Antifa and broadly just being on the left in general. Broadly, any kind of dissent that goes against the approved narrative of the administration. That's what I need people to really understand. If you have found your way into this video or this stream and you're a conservative and you say, well, this won't happen to me because I'm a conservative, I believe in this, all it takes is one fucking slip up for somebody. If you decide to, hey, you know what, I'm going to go to an anti-war protest because I voted for Trump to not start any new wars, and here we are in fucking Iran going 5,000 troops on the ground, apparently. If you are then seen at that anti-war protest, it doesn't matter your voting record. It doesn't matter how many MAGA hats you own. It doesn't matter how many fucking Glenn Beck or Steven Crowder mug clubs you've subscribed to. You will then be seen as a legitimate target for prosecution. The precedent that this is setting is beyond dangerous. There are reasons why people for so long, including the ACLU, have fought for the free speech rights of even Nazis. Because if the precedent is set that your rights can be taken away based on who you associate with, based on who you talk to, based on what fucking political zines are found on your person, then much like we were talking about a little while ago with the murders of Renee Good and Alex Preddy, you don't really have rights in any functional way that matters, in any way that will defend you from those rights being trampled over at any time. Smarty Boy, thank you very much for 17. Love your vids from Denmark. Thank you. And Fighting a Hobbit, thank you for 50 bits. I promise pocket change and I've delivered. Have a pack of gum on me, you lucky so-and-so. Well, what? Thank you for 20 months. Thank you so much, y'all. Alrighty. Court filings describe the group as a, quote, Antifa cell. Quote, this wouldn't be a terrorism case if it weren't for that memo, said one defense lawyer involved in the case who spoke on background, citing the ongoing trial, which is expected to stretch into mid-March. 4 other defense lawyers on the case echoed the sentiment. So we're going to, that's December 2025. Here we go. And is it Prairie Hill? Why do I always want to say it's Prairieland? Prairieland. Jesus Christ, come on, man. All right. The other part of this is that Jesus Christ. I am all out of sorts today. Jesus Christ. Thank you very much, Nehemiah, for $5. You should look up Heritage Foundation marriage boot camps. Christ. All right, we will look at that next. Oh, there it goes. So it's still in this one. Contractors. Had planned through texts and meetings to set off fireworks on July 4th. Intends to show solidarity for the estimated 1,000 migrants held there. Megan Morris, speaking on a phone call from the jail where she is held separately, says she, quote, hopes the jury sees through that this is just a political prosecution. Morris was criminally charged for participating in a protest, but didn't leave her van that night. I want people to also understand how fucking scary it is that most people, myself included, even if you are politically active, even if you are in these spaces, this is the first time I'm hearing about some of this. Like, even being up to date in the political landscape. There are people right now who are in jail, who are being kept indefinitely for shit like this. The idea, when people talk about, and this is the thing that I've been talking about for over a year now, it's finally coming out that U.S. moving pregnant immigrant girls to Texas to avoid providing abortions, critics say. Ex-official calls transfer unaccompanied girls as young as 13, many pregnant due to rape, a human rights violation. I've been saying this, that this would happen, that this was happening since the very beginning of ICE. since the very beginning of the Trump administration and their ratcheting up of ICE raids. Because we aren't getting reporting on it doesn't mean these things aren't happening, and we have to assume that they are continually happening. And so it is with people who are, when people online will tell you, oh my gosh, this is so scary. What comes next after this? We are already several steps past what comes next. You need to understand that people are already being jailed for political dissent and opposition. People are already being silenced based on nothing more than the positions they hold and the things they believe, or even are suspected of believing. Back to the Prairieland. U.S. District Judge Mark Pittman ruled last month that defendants can't claim self-defense against an officer who pulled his gun on them. Sure, why not? Well, another great precedent to set is that, like, if an officer pulls their gun on you, you just need to die, basically. Like, that's what that precedent's going to be used for. Activists monitoring the case are convinced that Pittman, who is tied to the Federalist Society, was the Trump-appointed judge who initially struck down the Biden admin student loan debt forgiveness plan, is sharply tilted towards the prosecution. No shit. He held a previously unreported private meeting last week with Attorney General Bill Barr, who has railed against far-left extremist and anarchic groups using Antifa-like tactics in 2020. Speaking to Notice hours after the meeting, Barr said he knew about the Antifa case but claimed he was merely getting a tour of the courtroom and hadn't discussed the trial with the judge. If you believe that, by the way, if you believe that Bill Barr was not directly interfering with this case on behalf of the Trump administration to make sure that this is setting a precedent for a unilateral crackdown on any dissent, I have a fucking bridge to sell you if you think they were actually there for a fucking tour of the courtroom. You know how federal judges just like to tour courtrooms in bumfuck wherever the hell they were? Texas? Queer Sociology, thank you for following. Those on the protester side called the case a return to anti-communist Red Scare, pointing to the way the FBI immediately focused on the group's shared ideology. Excuse me. Seizing their printing press and anarchist zines, making fun of their anti-Nazi stickers and political slogans, and the way a SWAT team stormed their house in suburban Dallas. According to the 4 remaining house occupants, FBI agents repositioned the occupants' transgender pride flag before snapping an evidence photograph that made their living room look like an underground paramilitary base of operations. Fucking of course, dude. NSPM 7, the National Security Memorandum, specifically targeted what it called an Antifa rallying cry, which, by the way, again, when you're like, well, why would they do that? Why would the FBI do that? It's the exact same reason why dipshits like Kash Patel will be out here talking about how, no, actually, we found Antifa bullets. We found trans ideology on bullets. It's to tie anything outside of the norm, anything outside of heteronormative, patriarchal, like, and I sound like such a fucking 2016 lib when you talk about this, but it really is. Anything that threatens their worldview or the idea of inherent patriarchal superiority will be tied to terrorism, will be tied to being a subversive. It's not an accident that there are parallels between this and the Red Scare, when the last time the Red Scare happened, it was a fucking nothing burger. And it was all predicated upon needing to weed out subversives. The crux of the case hinges on, quote, Pinkerton liability, the notion that everyone in a group can be blamed for the violent action of a single member. Quote, strict liability based on ideology is new, Keating said. These are not people who are part of a militia or some organization. They're all just people who think ICE is doing some fucked up stuff. To make up their case, prosecutors at the trial are pointing to 2 chats on the encrypted messaging app Signal. In one chat, the protesters widely shared their general plans and a flyer to 200 plus participants. In the other, smaller one, a core group spoke more freely about the night's plans. Some of the text appeared damning. An unidentified person who went by Sasha wrote, quote, normalize violent resistance. Oh, man. The idea that that's damning in America. Jesus Christ. The armchair socialists will still call these people anarchists. I have no fucking time for any dipshit right now that is trying to draw parallels or draw lines between people. The fucking assholes right now who are looking at the precedent being set and being like, well, yeah, we need to get rid of anarchists. The left doesn't need anarchists. You fucking moron. No, this isn't subtweeting anybody in particular. I have no time for drawing lines of who you will or won't care about right now. Bauman pleaded guilty to the terrorism charge as now one of 5 cooperating witnesses. Another is Lynette Sharp, a 57-year-old accused of helping hide Song while they were on the run from police. Her friends, James Barker Murphy, said she chose to give up fighting because, quote, she doesn't want to die in jail and needs to get back to caring for her autistic child. There's nothing new about the idea that government can charge every protester with taking part in some kind of vast conspiracy. Stephen Cash, national security professional who was a lawyer for the Senate Judiciary and Intelligence Committees after 9/11, points to half a millennium of Anglo-American jurisprudence, and an equally long history of scholars warning about the prosecution method's threat to public speech. Cash described his own experience in government as wrestling over how to equip the government to attack terrorism without letting it be abused against those merely criticizing the government. Well, we're on untried ground. Assistant U.S. Attorney Sean Smith, the lead prosecutor in the case, told a magistrate judge last fall that protesters' chants are not just words. Yeah, isn't that fucking crazy? People might believe shit. Just the lack of connection for people to be behind these horrendous machinations, these just absolute betrayals of the public good. Castigating anybody who dissents publicly, to humiliate them, to harangue them, to literally ruin random civilians' lives because they show up and take part in the democratic process. The thing, by the way, we're all told to do. Like, we're all told that, like, oh yeah, no, you can show up to protest, but you'll notice they keep clipping back on what you can actually do at a protest. You can't be out later than the police say. And I brought this up in my video in LA. It's like, no, we don't really have a protest in America. Because when you throw an actual protest, the government just sends in the military. If not literally the military, then now just militarized police units. Quote, it's not a sign that all cops are bastards. That's not where they stop. They actually believe that. They truly believe that blue lives don't matter. Smith questions why protesters would show up with individual first aid kits meant to stop rapid bleeding from gunshot wounds and stuff their phones in special bags meant to block all signals. Gee, I wonder, as as people are being tried unfairly in what is so blatantly a kangaroo court, I wonder why they would want to keep their phones in signal blocking bags. I wonder why, when every single left or liberal fucking protest has no shortage of right-wing idiots literally threatening to go and murder and mow down and shoot people. I wonder why people might want personal first aid kits. Oh, truly a fucking mystery. They were all wearing black. They had rifles. They had body armor. They had IFAKs. They left their phones, put it in a Faraday bag. They're using walkie-talkies to communicate. Why on earth would they do that? Again, when fucking boogaloos and Nazis and dipshits like Jake Lang, which we'll get to that little pedophile fuck in a second here, when they're doing that, oh no, they're just good old boys not doing no harm. And oh, well, they have a right to be here and a right to protest however they see fit. And as long as they keep their finger off the trigger and have proper trigger discipline, but no. As soon as it's somebody actually standing up for some shit, you want to know why? You want to know why the police don't react to those good old boys, to the Nazis, the same way? It's because they know that ultimately the Nazis aren't a threat. They know that when the Nazis start firing, if they start firing, it's not probably going to come at them. It's going to go at other people. That's why. Yeah, Mackenzie, we have the Jake Lang story lined up. The government's chosen expert on Antifa isn't one of the many domestic extremism analysts at the FBI or Department of Homeland Security, but Kyle Schidler, who... You can't fucking make these names up, dog. Kyle Schidler, who works at the Center for Security Policy, an anti-Muslim think tank. He was a 2017 fellow at the Claremont Institute, great, alongside conservative activists Christopher Rufo and James O'Keefe. Oh my God, they made a third one of those dipshits. Unfucking believable. James O'Keefe, by the way, Project Veritas dipshit, who basically set the template for assholes and idiots like Nick Shirley to just go in places, assault people with random litanies of questions, and then when they're asked to leave, we'll use that as proof positive that, oh yes, we're on the trail, we're uncovering shit. And then Christopher Rufo is the dipshit who has, and I shit you not, has been so blatant and open about his intentions behind everything he's done. He is the person who put groomer as a way to refer to trans people in the public lexicon. Like, very publicly. He talked about using it as a way to define trans people, that you can spread it around and that will ostracize them from public life, regardless of if it's true or not, which it's not. It's just simply creating an attempt at a slur, basically. Oh yeah, they're pure McCarthyists. They're pure ideologues. The bulk of Schindler's published works on Antifa is contained in a single book, Unmasking Antifa, published by his current employer in 2020. Rad, dude. We got Amazon independent publishers out here working in the government. Fighting Hobbit, thank you for 25 bits. I sincerely hope that Kyle Shit Hitler got made fun of relentlessly in middle school. I have a feeling, I was watching that, oh God, I haven't had such a visceral reaction to somebody as Alex Karp, the CEO of Palantir. Did you cover the snitch in the case? No, not yet. Alex Karp, look, Peter Thiel. Yeah, Peter Thiel needs the neck shortening surgery. Elon Musk, absolutely. Alex Karp. There are people who I'm a pretty calm, collected person. There are people who I legitimately do not think I could be in the same room in and not catch a charge. Alex Karp is one of those. Have you seen the video about Tectone from a YouTuber called Shamu? That's the one I'm gonna get to. Yeah, and so Alex Karp was on the subject of being bullied in school. It's another person that you listen to them talk for 5 minutes and you understand their entire life and worldview. Like they just were never able to grow or mature past what they felt they deserved in life, and now we all have to live with it. Jurors heard about SWAT raids on half a dozen homes. Hang on. Dun, dun, dun. In court, jurors heard about SWAT raids on half a dozen homes belonging to protesters and their friends. Investigators seized anarchist leaflets freely available online with titles like Insurrectionary Anarchy, Organizing for Attack, and Direct Action, a Guide. FBI Special Agent Rebecca Chen testified that her search of a home turned up, quote, anti-ICE, anti-police things. What the fuck does that mean, dog? I have a sticker. Where the fuck is it? Is it right there? No. I don't know where that went. I had a sticker that said abolish ICE in a cool font, and I got it from a local, like, handcrafted goods store. Casey Bennett, an FBI agent on the counter-terror squad, acknowledged that the literature isn't illegal, but argued, quote, it shows a joint ideology. Like this is where we're at now, where reading, like, God fucking forbid, dude. If you aren't reading, by the way, you need to be. And I mean this, I'm getting back into, after the Pendragon Cycle thing, Pendragon Cycle video, I am getting back into my kind of culture videos and the AI subhumanity video I've been working on for a couple months, and I'm getting back into writing more like philosophical type content, philosophical and political content. And as I'm doing that, it has me, I'm going back into books, I'm reading again, I'm picking stuff up, but it's also so much of the things I'm currently studying for pieces on, like, just kind of our slop culture and the rise of AI and how it's proliferated, have to do with how stupid we've all gotten. And this is not something, by the way, that I'm exempt from. Nobody is. We just, as a society, you have and I truly deeply believe this, you have a moral imperative to everybody else to read, to take time out of your day, to take time out of whatever vapid, meaningless entertainment that you find, whether that's doom scrolling, whether that's watching TV, and read. Form relationships with words and communications and ideas. It could be something political, it could be theory, it could be nonfiction. Just be reading something. God, it's like, it is not an accident that we have so many people in favor of the horrendous shit that we have going on right now. And also, so many people being churned out with, like, useless degrees from shit like ChatGPT, that we have so many people who are eschewing college altogether because they just straight up don't see any point in it. So many people who are anti-intellectual at every level. Like, all of these things go hand in hand with the American emphasis on comfort and coddling and all the ignorance that comes with it. Does that include articles? Yeah, articles is reading. Hey, chillface. Girly Girl 314, thank you for 3 months. I'm very scared. The world is ending soon. I don't know what to do. I mean, the world isn't ending soon. Like, that's the other thing. The world is in a state of change, and it is definitely reaching. Hey, dog. Stop it. The world is in a state of change, and that is the constant cycle and state of life and living. And the problem is that I think instinctually, naturally, people want to hold on to the familiar. And so the idea of change is scary because we know that right now in this moment, for example, we are safe. Most of us are safe. And the idea that that won't live forever, that's scary. Hey, lady, can you stop? Can you just like chill and lay down, please, dog? You're stressing me out, dude. I finally paid off my student loan, never got any benefit from it. Many such cases. Yeah, so let's go to so they were charged, if you haven't been keeping up with it. From The Intercept, anti-ICE protesters convicted on terrorism charges for wearing all black. The government won on most of its charges, including convicting defendants for moving a box of radical zines. Womanish thing. Thank you very much for $5. I find life too distracting to read right now. I'm trying so hard to stay informed on the real-time shit show going on, but definitely will try harder. Here's the thing. Be a little less informed. I'm going to tell you something that I have, and I do this as a job, right? I come on here, I talk about heinous shit, I try and make sense of it, and I do that with the help and support of everybody here. And then sometimes I will take those things and turn them into much bigger projects or much bigger investigations. Believe me when I say, stuff like this is on my mind all the time. And it has done me no good to only focus on it all the time. It has done me no good to my mental health, no good to my sleep, my diet, anything. And you know what else has not done me good is trying to then supplement that with escapes, supplement that with distractions. Try and be like, oh, okay, you know what? I'm going to shut it all out now. I'm just going to get high. I'm just going to have drinks. I went through a bad phase a couple months ago where I was getting really, really high. And when I wasn't high, I was drinking a lot. And when I wasn't doing that, I was sleeping. And I was always exhausted. I was always in a bad mood. And I have ratcheted that down massively. I am not where I would love to be in terms of taking care of myself. But you have to prioritize taking care of yourself. And that is not a priority above everything else. I caution anybody, do not try and slip into suppressing the world around you for your own comfort. Because that is such an easy... It's such an easy road to slip into to complacency, to forgetting the real world and the people around you who are still suffering through these things, even though you might have found a way to kind of buffer that. The problem is balancing those things, staying up to date. And the thing I would say that helps the most is understanding what you can do with the information you're parsing, right? So when you are scrolling Twitter, like many other people on here probably do, like I do, when you're scrolling Blue Sky, when you're doom scrolling videos on TikTok or Insta or whatever, you need to know your limits and you need to understand that point at which you can look at a story and say, is this going to help me understand and better argue my positions? Is this going to help me brace for something coming up? Or is this just going to piss me off? Is this just going to get me to want to type in a hate comment? Is this just algorithmic feeding to get me to go to another story and keep scrolling and scroll past more advertisements? Because so often I think we let our want to be informed take the place of doing something genuinely constructive. So often I think we say like, oh, okay, we will compromise with ourselves, right? That we will, sorry, excuse me. The fizzy drink keeps making me burp. So I take another drink. we'll compromise with ourselves, and we'll be able to sit back and be like, oh, okay, no, I'm staying up to date. No, it's important that I keep scrolling. It's important that I know how many people are being bombed over in Iran right now. It's important that I know, like, what does Tel Aviv look like right now. It's important that I know how this is going to affect the price of oil tomorrow. And I say these examples because these are things that I have thought going through all this stuff. These are things that I've thought, it's like, okay, how am I going to explain this? How is this affecting this? How can I further my knowledge of these topics and this regionality and how this is going to affect everything and how this should be interpreted and what this effect is going to have on this internationally? And that's all so I can come here and talk about it. That's the utility it has to me. And so at a certain point, I have to stop and be like, okay, it is not going to do me any good. It is not doing my mental health. It is not doing anybody any good to just sit here and keep scrolling and doom scrolling and look at how fucking terrible everything is. Yeah, Dishonorable 69. Watching movies with friends and talking about them has kept me sane these past few months. Yeah, Ichri Vega also cut back on meaningless drama, 3 hours of watching an Ash Trevino deep dive for 3 hours, or 3 hours of starting a new book, you choose. Yeah, that's, oh my God. God damn, drama shit. It goes into, I have no fucking time for drama right now. I really don't. I put out a joke earlier that was dunking on fucking, I don't want to go over it, but it was dunking on 2 other commentators in the left lib space. And people started being like, well, what problem do you have with this person? What problem do you have with this person? And I tried to be like, oh, you know what? It's personal. I don't really want to talk about it. And then I was like, people were pointing out, okay, well, then don't bring it up. And I was like, you know what? Yeah. And I deleted it because I threw off something carelessly. I wasn't going to follow through with it. I'm not here for fucking drama. I'm not here to like lead people on. And so like I fucking deleted it. I abandoned it. I said, no, you know what? Not today. And I read a good damn portion of a book today. I read Super Bloom by Nicholas Carr. I got over halfway through it. I was zooming through it this morning. That's what I did with my morning. That's what I did. And I feel better and more equipped. I have all sorts of fun for me. Nerd shit. I have all sorts of like philosophers and research papers and letters and historical documents to now look into for some of the things that I'm writing that will hopefully lead me to more things I can look into that I can use for a video. So yeah, I would say that it's best to know your limits, and I would say the same thing I say to everybody when they just feel depressed, and it's one of the only things that helps me is reconnecting with art. Like, it doesn't matter if it's music that I love, it doesn't matter if it's actual physical art, it doesn't matter if it's watching a documentary about the life of a painter, doesn't matter if it's watching a movie from a director I love, or, you know, like a movie I've never seen from a director I love. Reconnecting with art, really sitting down, living with that understanding of somebody else's humanity and the exploration of it and sitting in that, I think is so incredibly underrated and so incredibly undervalued in the kind of modern left movement. Sorry. Emmy Go Home, thank you very much for $5. I also recommend finding an outdoors hobby. I picked up rock hounding. Parenthetical, I'm waiting for winter to end to pick through river shores, and hiking. Yeah, hiking is amazing for me. I go, I can't express how good hiking and running has been for my mental health since it's been warm enough to do it. Like, I don't know, I'm in a weird mental headspace where I am trying to not constantly be working, but I'm also trying to not just bury myself in hobbies. And it's been so like connecting with nature and going on 3-mile hikes and stuff. I have this great like river walkway pathway near me that is really good for that. All right. Missy's yelling at me, so I'm going to go feed her really quick, and I'll be right back. Alrighty. More than a symbol, thank you for following. Oh, boy. So, from The Intercept, a federal jury handed prosecutors a mixed victory in a trial of 9 protesters for their roles during or after a chaotic demonstration outside a ICE facility last July, convicting 8 defendants of terrorism, but sparing some of them on attempted murder counts. Oh, that's so sweet. The widely watched trial could serve as a bellwether as President Donald Trump's administration seeks to crack down on left-wing groups, and the convictions could encourage protesters to bring more such charges. A top FBI official said in December that the agency is now treating Antifa as a, quote, major domestic terror threat. And I want you to, again, think about this. We were told, and now Trump and the admin, they're talking about Iranian sleeper cells, right? Because, man, I talked about it last stream where it's like, man, calling everything a psyop is so Alex Jones coded, but it genuinely feels like the psyop running right now is to get everybody to see everything as a psyop. Like that's the psyop that feels like it's running, is to get everybody to look at things and go, oh, that's fake. Oh, that's fake. Oh, that's not real. Oh, that's fake. Again, I don't think it takes a lot of conspiracy theorizing. Like you don't need to get out the fucking Glenn Beck corkboard and yarn. You don't need to pull a Pepe Sylvia to realize and tie together the idea of Palantir's massive government contracting, the AI groups and the AI lobbyists and these massive companies that are sucking in all this information to allow government agencies and law enforcement and the intelligence apparatus to better profile everybody in the country. Like, all the while, AI continues to proliferate completely unabated, basically unregulated in any sense or form, and is constantly improving to give everybody their own little reality, right? It's, oh my gosh, Baudrillard would have a fucking field day with this shit, I tell you what. In a statement posted online, a support group for the defendant said, everything about this trial from beginning to end has proven what we have said all along. This is a sham trial built on political persecution and ideological attacks coming from the top. The Trump administration celebrated the verdict. Quote, Antifa is a domestic terrorist organization that has been allowed to flourish in Democrat-led cities, not under President Trump, said Attorney General Pamela Bondi. Today's verdict on terrorism charges will not be the last, as the Trump administration systematically dismantles Antifa and finally halts their violence on American streets. Now, people have brought up, again, you're not, I know it's been the thing for people to fucking bring up over a decade now. The same, like, oh, Captain America would have hated you type bullshit. The same, like, coexist bumper sticker, but made with Marvel and Doctor Who signs. It's the ick I get when people talk about, like, when people will come out and say, don't you know Antifa isn't a group? It doesn't matter. It's never mattered. It is clearly never ever mattered to them. So it shouldn't matter to you, because, like, obviously, if you are against the administration, you are now designated Antifa. That's it. Signal messages obtained by the government showed the demonstrators believe that less confrontational protests, such as the one that occurred earlier in the day, were ineffective. Again, nothing quite showing how right the ideology is by the fact that people going, hey, I don't really think that these more peaceful protests are ineffective. And then when they get cracked down on and defend themselves, and then all of them get tried for fucking terrorism. It's like, yeah, a bunch of you tried to keep it peaceful. A bunch of you were just trying to chill and have like a regular peaceful lib-ass protest. And look at where it got you. Prosecutors pointed to the guns, ballistic vests, and trauma first aid kits they brought as evidence of malicious intent. It's fucking insane. Fucking wild. The same administration that is out here, like, pardoning stalkers like Brian Bedecker, pardoning pedophiles and rapists who were at January 6th, who showed up with zip ties and all sorts of other wannabe weekend warrior tack gear. And they're going to be like, actually, the trauma first aid kits they brought are clear evidence of malicious intent. I don't know why I went Kermit with that. I don't know why. That use of black bloc clothing was an Antifa tactic that assisted in the shooting of the officer, prosecutors said during their closing arguments. Oh, man. Explosives charges related to the fireworks. Crazy. Rueda and her husband, Daniel Sanchez Estrada, were convicted of conspiracy to conceal documents. Here's the real precedent that is showing you it doesn't matter what level you're operating on. They will find something to pin on you. Nobody is safe. Convicted of conspiracy to conceal documents. That charge centered on Sanchez's movement of boxes containing radical pamphlets after her arrest. Sanchez was also convicted of corruptly concealing a document. They're talking about motherfucking zines, dog. From November 23rd, 2025, Daniel Sanchez is facing federal charges for what free speech advocates say is a clear attack on the First Amendment. Here we go. Daniel Des Sanchez wasn't even at the protest, is accused of transporting a box that contained, quote, Antifa materials after the incident, supposedly to conceal evidence against his wife. But the box materials aren't Molotov cocktails, pipe bombs, or whatever MAGA officials claim Antifa uses to wage its imaginary war on America. As prosecutors laid out in the July criminal complaint, they were zines and pamphlets. Some contained controversial ideas. One was titled Insurrectionary Anarchy, but they're fully constitutionally protected free speech. The case demonstrates the administration's intensifying efforts to criminalize left-wing activists after Trump announced in September that he was designated Antifa as a major terrorist organization, a legal designation that doesn't exist for domestic groups, following the killing of Charlie Kirk. Another critique of insurrectionism. Yeah. There have been other warnings that cops and prosecutors think they found a constitutional loophole. If you can't punish reporting it, punish transporting it. LA journalist Maya Lau is suing the LA County Sheriff's Department for secretly investigating her for conspiracy, theft of government property, unlawful access of a computer, burglary, and receiving stolen property. According to her attorneys, her only offense was reporting on a list of deputies with histories of misconduct for the LA Times. It's also reminiscent of the Biden admin's case against far-right-wing outlet Project Veritas for possessing and transporting Ashley Biden's diary, which the organization bought from a Florida woman later convicted of stealing and selling it. The Constitution protects the right to publish materials stolen by others, a right that would be meaningless if they couldn't possess the materials in the first place. Guilt by literature. At what point does a literary collection or newspaper subscription become prosecutorial evidence under the Trump admin's logic? Essentially, whenever it's convenient. The vagueness is a feature, not a bug. When people don't know which political materials might later be deemed evidence of criminality, the safest course is to avoid engaging with controversial ideas altogether. And that is, when I tell you how important it is to keep reading, it doesn't matter what it is, that is what they want. They want people to stop engaging with ideas altogether. They want everybody to be fucking good little lobotomites who just go and watch kick streams and laugh at shit like the burnt peanut and go, oh yeah, we're gonna get those dang Iranians, and not care how their tax dollars are being used to bomb little girls' schools. That's what they want. And if you step out of that line, it is becoming so readily apparent how much they're going to crack down on you. Let's go back to the other Intercept article. The prosecution of the Prairieland defendants represented the federal government's first use of the material support charge against alleged Antifa members accused of domestic terrorism. The verdict came after 10 days of testimony inside a Fort Worth courtroom. Prosecutors called the wounded police officer and detention center guards to describe what it was like on the receiving end of a barrage of bullets, as well as 4 cooperating defendants who pleaded guilty before trial. Another significant witness was a researcher at a right-wing think tank who said the tactics by the demonstrators that night, including black bloc clothing and encrypted messaging app Signal, the latter of which the witness said he also used, were typical of Antifa. All I can think about in moments like this is how we saw in Minneapolis, even just a couple days ago, there was a video going around. It was going a little bit viral, showing a group of protesters overwhelming, not hurting, but overwhelming through sheer numbers, ICE, to the point where they had to back out of a neighborhood. There are more of us than there are of them. This is why when you see somebody, for example, and we saw this again in Minneapolis, this shit right here is why when you see somebody being arrested, you need to have, if you are going to coordinate with people in your area, which you should be doing already, and that means for mutual aid, that means for community protection, that means for any big gatherings, you should have a plan additionally for interacting with police, interacting with ICE, and especially if they try and arrest somebody. Jesus Christ. Yenzo, thank you very much. I'll watch that. Go over that later.
You've been wondering this past week, as I have, if you're a Christian pastor, how do you sell your congregation on this war of choice that Donald Trump is waging in Iran? Like, if you're trying to argue to your congregation that, you know, Jesus is a man of peace, how do you argue, like, yeah, but we don't like that other country, so let's just bomb a girls' school or something like that? And I mean, I'm not putting
Nathan, U1899, I don't know if you have an answer, but is there anything us outside the U.S. can do? Honestly, I don't know. I don't know. I wish I could give a better answer than that, but no. Yeah, I forgot. Hemet called me once. We talked on the phone. God, oh my God, 2+ years ago now, because it was about one of the Anderson kids.
Get past them. I know they can justify anything the Trump administration does, but I do want to show you how one congregation in particular has promoted this war despite anything they might hear about Jesus otherwise. And it's taking place at Cornerstone Church in San Antonio, Texas. And the guy running this church, you may have heard of him, is John Hagee. He's very much a mega cultist. He's been around for several decades. But I want to show you what they did on Sunday, last Sunday, which is like 24 hours after the bombing began. Meaning, as soon as this war started, this church is like, we need to change the sermon so that we can make it all about how to get this group of people in Texas to support Donald Trump. And I want to show you what they did at church. Let me see if I can get this to work. I'm going to play you just a little bit of their service from March 1st, and I want you to see what's going on here. They're about to start the sermon. This is the mega church. You can see it's pretty crowded. They just finished their singing, and they're about to introduce John Hagee to deliver the sermon. But before they do, they made a freaking trailer. They made a 1-minute trailer before the sermon to advertise the war. Are you ready for this? Let's watch this together. Oh, come back. There we go.
A headline that shook the world.
Join you right now with breaking news from the Middle East. Israel has launched preemptive airstrikes against the Islamic Republic of Iran.
The United States military began major combat operations in Iran.
Sirens are wailing, and prophecies written thousands of years ago are
It's so... When people talk about things being spiritually Israeli, I think that's the wrong way to put it, but there is something uniquely evangelical about a lot of the shit that people be like, oh, this is spiritually Israeli. I'm like, no. This is American evangelical shit. The use of AI has been so ever present in American evangelicalism since it really started. Like, they just immediately jumped on that talentless boomer bullshit. It's crazy to me.
Moving onto the world stage, explosions over Tehran, retaliatory strikes, nations choosing sides, and the world asks, is this just another war? History is not random. Empires will rise, empires will fall, but the word of God will stand forever.
Oh my
Iran,
God, dude.
Israel, America, where are we in the unfolding plan of God?
And the Bible says, when you...
Cut to some blockheaded white fat fuck who looks like he just got done chewing on his third child for the day for accidentally going under the bridge without answering his riddles 3. Are you like, how are just somehow every American evangelical pastor reaches this phase? Like it's almost like the third evolution in a Pokemon.
See these signs. Lift up your heads and rejoice. Your redemption draweth nigh.
They made a whole...
Will you please stand for the reading of God's word? Turn in your Bibles to Psalms 122.
All right. I mean, they made a whole thing to celebrate how God's coming and it's Operation Epic Fury. I mean, it's a pro-war infomercial to begin the sermon. Yikes. Like, I won't play for you other parts of that sermon because he spoke for 40 minutes after that. But in that 40 minutes, Hagee, he talked about how Trump had tried to reach a peaceful solution with Iran to no avail. That's not true at all. I mean, Trump ignored the nuclear deal that President Obama made with Iran. I'm sorry, I should say Hagee did not mention that President Obama had...
All right, I wanted to see the opening of that because that's fucking insane. Yeah, I don't know if that helps us now that we've actually already read that. Let's talk about something slightly more fun. And when I say slightly, I do mean, oh, ever so slightly. Can I put my... I guess I could probably do that. That's kind of a cute look. All right. How a catch a predator sting nabbed a right-wing hate monger. So here's the thing. I can't just encourage people to go out and do this, but I wish I could do more shit like this. I really do. I don't have the focus I want. God, I don't know. I need to lock in on another like undercover little impish project. Because after the one last year got spoiled and I wasn't able to do it, I've kind of just given up. And yeah, this is about Jake Lang. And I don't want to because I love doing undercover shit, but I also cannot do like in-person undercover shit anymore because like all of my undercover videos have over 1 million views. I can't Walter Masterson my way there. You know, Walter Masterson is blessed with just having white guy face. I don't, unfortunately. Magar, I think for $5, it's cringe to say a book about pirates changed my life, but villains of all nations grip my soul and feels increasingly relevant. Check it out. I don't think it's shameful to say a book about pirates changed your life. Like how many lives have been changed by fucking Treasure Island? Like how many lives have been changed by Moby Dick? That's not about pirates, but it's damn close. Like, come on. Nehemia, thank you very much for $5. That tie is the knot of the balloon that is his head keeping all the air from farting out. Yenza, maybe you could do a lot of video covering the history of American evangelism and its use of AI. So I do have the kind of final video I'll be doing on this, I guess, 4-video set, this quadrilogy, will be on religion and the kind of intersection of religion and particularly as it applies to not just AI, but our kind of tech oligarch overlords who very much want to be new gods. Fighting the Hobbits, thank you for 50 bits. Oh, Hobbit, what book radicalized you? Animorphs, motherfucker. All right. One of the most notorious hate mongers. God, he is so infidel. He's so fucking cringe, dog. On the far right appears to have finally stepped in it after being caught texting flirtatiously with what he assumed to be a 15-year-old girl. Jake Lang has for years been a minor celebrity in the most noxious corners of the conservative movement. He burst onto the scene as a bat-wielding January 6th defendant, then was one of a handful of defendants who took their cases to the Supreme Court, arguing that some of the charges did not apply. Last year, he launched a failed Senate bid in Florida. He's kept himself in the spotlight by holding provocative demonstrations. What he really is he's just less successful Laura Loomer. I feel like that's Jake Lang's story more than anything. Lang tossed out Hitler salutes outside of AIPAC's headquarters, organized an anti-Muslim rally in Minneapolis that saw him attacked by counter. Oh, yeah. Such acts would normally turn off one's contemporaries, but Lang's influence has steadily grown. He got what seemed like it would be a big break last Saturday as he led a small protest outside New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani's home, during which he accused Muslims of being pedophiles. Glass houses, motherfucker. The already dicey situation took an even more serious turn when 2 Muslim counter-protesters, purportedly inspired by ISIS, allegedly threw a bomb at Lang and his fellow crusaders. The incident elevated Lang further as like, goddamn, fucking dumb kids groomed on the internet couldn't even get explosives, right? Including those who had previously been critical of his chaotic protest stunts, came to see him as a victim. The triumph, such as it was short-lived. Just days after the Mamdani rally, a video emerged revealing Lang had been texting flirtatiously with someone he thought was a 15-year-old girl. Hey, you know what? Maybe Destiny should have Jake Lang on the show. They probably have a lot to talk about. Right? Come on now. The video was the product of another attention-hungry faction of the right, pedophile hunters who stage amateur to catch a predator-style stings. On Monday, one of those pedophile hunters, who goes by the name The Zerg, posted on Instagram he had been texting Lang while posing as an underage girl who described herself as a high school student. This shit bothers me so much because you could do so much good with the work that goes into this stuff, but what it ultimately comes down to is the same kind of lolcow farming, where it's not... You know, it reminds me of the people who have come recently into my mentions, and they're like, this you about an actual convicted pedophile who, by the way, was charged when I was like 11, who doesn't even look like me. And then once you prove that it's very clearly not me, because I've never been convicted of anything, never been charged with a crime, which, by the way, you can just go and check. You can just go look that shit up, ding-dongs. But when you get past it, there are people who will be like, oh, well, because I've had to threaten legal action against people, and a bunch of people will couch their retractions with being like, well, I still hope this ruins your life. And it's like, okay, so you don't actually care about accountability. You don't actually care about victims or who's getting hurt or stopping people from being pedophiles, because it's all some kind of abstracted game to you where you get to just dunk on somebody. And that's the really frustrating part, is that there's this kind of to catch a predator style spectacle has seeped into the American consciousness so much that it's just another tangent of our like reality TV simulacrum from the early 2000s that we're all just living in for the rest of the time, where victims are not things that actually need to be defended and protected, where these people are not monsters that need to be put away. They are easy dunks for social media clout, and it's so fucking frustrating. Because while it is cathartic to see somebody trick a dipshit like this, ultimately it comes from a school of thought of just doing this repeatedly, of trying to get fun dunk videos online, not actually trying to protect victims, not actually trying to stop people from doing this shit. Nehemia, thank you for $5. Jake Lang has proven to be helpful to me in providing an examination of my knuckles at close quarters. LMAO. Oh yeah, I forgot you fucking you got a little what Jake doesn't tell you is he's chatting up my 15-year-old decoy. Though Lang didn't respond to a request for comment for the newsletter, he has acknowledged the conversation with the fake 15-year-old girl was real, though unconvincingly insisted it was someone on his team who did it. Yeah, sure, dude. According to the shared screenshots, the conversation between Lang and the fake girl, who he referred to as baby and sweet Christ, man, dated back to at least November, but it began to accelerate in early February as Lang tried to nail down the girl's exact age. I might be too young for you, the decoy wrote. How old are you, BB? God. Lang responded, adding, unless you are under 18, I don't care. I'm 15, lol, the underage persona wrote back, adding a clothed picture of her body. Having just set his minimum age at 18, Lang, age 30, responded, when do you turn 16? Disgusting. Incredible that we have Nazi dipshits like this out here walking the streets after everything is fucking done, and then they want to charge people for transporting zines. At this point, the pedophile hunter, posing as the teenager, attempted to assure Lang, quote, I won't get you in trouble if that's what you're worried about. I can keep a secret, the decoy wrote back. Lang hearted the message. What state do you live in? I can't see you till you're 16. Fucking... It's so wild. Like, again, there's this kind of, I don't know, it's this overriding stupidity for all of these motherfuckers. That's the crazy part to me. It's like, do you have no understanding of, like, how wrong this is? No, of course they don't. Like, what am I saying? Yeah, like, no. It's Jake fucking Lang. Of course he doesn't. How do people have so much time on their hands? Well, you see, a lot of these people don't do shit. Like when their entire life, it's like Laura Loomer. It's like they have a lot of fucking free time because they're AstroTurf. They get paid hundreds of dollars by rich donators and like go and fucking, well, don't go and watch. But if you ever watch one of those miserable little clips that make its way around of Nick Fuentes being pissed off at his donos as people just donate hundreds and hundreds of dollars to him, like they don't have to do anything. They don't have to meaningfully contribute. They don't have to write books. They don't have like. The time of being an American conservative commentator or personality that contributes anything or needs to contribute anything greater than just loud noises to a conversation is so long gone. We have vestiges of it. You have a couple people here and there, like Hannity, like Glenn Beck, like Bill O'Reilly, who are still out there doing their fucking thing, and they'll, throw out a ghost-written book here and there. But it's not like back in the day where conservative pundits and political commentators where every fucking month there was a new book by Mark Levin or Laura Ingraham or fucking, Rush Limbaugh or some shit. We don't have that anymore. There is no need for them to do something bigger to get a platform than just be willing to be as abrasive and loud about whatever transgressive beliefs will own the libs as possible, because that's what gets them their attention, right? And again, I talked about this in the video essay I did months ago on how all of our fucking people in office right now just want to be influencers. And you see it with people like Pete Hegseth. You see it with people like Kash Patel. And top down, it doesn't give people a reason to act any differently. They see that you can just reach that level of popularity, that level of power, by being a sycophantic ball garbler. So why would they have any compunctions about just continuing on that road? Like they don't need to do anything else with their time. As long as when they're on camera, they're owning the libs. That's all. Their sponsors, their followers, their social media AI clout bots really feed on. That's it. Kiwi TP, yeah. Content creator, occupied government. God. Cloud 999, 18 is like a baby in my eyes. Yeah. Like no way anyone's moving out at 18 anymore. I mean, well, God, never mind. I was going to be like, I moved out at 18, but that was a decade ago, so. And granted, it was not a success. I was living in a basement for like a year. Yeah, Alexis Vandam, I did see the strike on Karg Island. Karg is beyond critical to Iran's oil exports, handling around 90%. Taking it out would decimate the oil supply. Yeah, it's. I was talking about it a little bit, but on a couple streams ago, I forgot about that because. There is no way to overstate that Trump will do fucking anything at this point. Like there is no, the thing that is so dangerous right now is that we have no idea. Hey now. What they will resort to. Because there appears to be legitimately no inhibitions, no limits. And yeah, Jesus Christ, if you are a... Sorry, lady heard a woof woof outside. If you are a... Hey, Yuzen. I forgot where I was going. Yeah, there is no plan. And that's the thing that is so... I don't know. Again, we need more... fuck it. Like, left unity type shit is so annoying to me right now because, dog, it doesn't matter what people think of this, but I do disagree with the just, like, I've seen Cavernical talking shit about how, like, every 18-year-old Midwestern large son who joins up to the military is just as much of a craven, baby-killing rapist as every Navy SEAL psychopath. And it's like, that's very obviously not the fact. Like, we have already seen so many people who are dying who, like, there was an 18-year-old kid who they were, you know, people were writing mournful memorials on because he died over in Iran, and he was, you know, like, it sounded like a fucking living saint. And granted, probably would have changed over time. He's a child. He was interested in community service and all sorts of other shit. But I don't think it does anybody favors to deny that kind of, I don't know, nationalism, to deny, I don't even know what I'm trying to say at this point. It doesn't do anybody any favors right now when you are trying to pull people one way or another to simply ignore the suffering of an entire group of people. Even if those people might be more conservative, even if those people might be parents grieving for their fucking children who are going to die in the pedophile wars. Nathan, they're sending ground troops? Yeah. They ordered, was it 5,000? Are we, or are they not? I thought it was confirmed. All right, never mind. Fuck it. I guess not. God damn, I can't fucking... No, I had heard that 2,500 Marines were going. $5,000? What are they doing? Throwing graham crackers at them? There you go. Thank you, not George Soros. 2,200 to 2,600 expeditionary. Again, just there you can tell there is no unified vision. There is no fucking force. It is purely like reactionary, based on just the words they're using to describe it. Because first, it was an incursion. Then Trump obviously misfucking heard it and keeps calling it an excursion, which are two totally very different things. Like, an excursion is like a nice walk in the countryside. An incursion is like an invasion. And then now we have 2,600 people in an expeditionary force. What the fuck? Expedition to where? Iran? What the fuck are you talking about? Expeditionary force. Like, well, we're just going to test the water. We're just going to, we'll have people, you know, we'll have them sit down for a little bit and see what's going on. What the fuck are you talking about? Would I ever do open panels on my show? Maybe. No, awesome 406. That's really not enough dudes to take over the whole country. It's like the population of a tiny town. Iran is this is the thing that is driving me fucking crazy, is that I am almost 90% sure Pete Hegseth thinks Iran is Iraq. Like, consistently, every miscalculation, every underestimation, every underestimation we've done of Iran's military capabilities, of their strategic importance, of the type of weapons and munitions they have readily available, can be chalked up. It doesn't make sense if you're looking at it. Like, why are we doing this? Why are we putting this force here? Why are we, like, just saying, yeah, no, we're totally good. Just send all your tankers on through. We won't bomb them to fuck, and then they do. The only thing I can think of that justifies and explains all of these just profound lapses in intelligence, in military acumen, is if they think Iran is Iraq. If they're like, people like Hegseth are so fucking dumbass blind by their own nationalist ambitions that they think of every single Middle Eastern country as being a bunch of people in turbans and mud huts. Like, the most vile bullshit propaganda you saw in the quote-unquote war on terror. Like, that's all I can think of, is that is why they constantly keep just, like, butt fucking themselves with every mistake they make. they got the John Fetterman lobotomy gun pointed at the entire cabinet. That is, unfortunately, probably pretty accurate. Trump calls for allied warships after Iran threat to retaliate for U.S. attack. Yeah, no shit. I do love that France and who else was it? Was it Denmark? There was another ally country that recently was like, no, we're pulling all of our support. Like, we're not doing this bullshit. Fuck you. France was one of them, which, like, good on Macron. No, exactly. Llama my pajama. They must think these people are goddamn Tusken Raiders. That is, so fucking many people in America genuinely think that that's like what they're up against just because it's fucking the Middle East. And not that Iran is one of the most important and long-standing civilizations in fucking history. Like, it's the ultimate, again, anytime you're like, oh God, why the fuck is this happening? Take a step back and try and view it in the totality of history. Where it's like, yeah, actually, I think that has helped me clear up a bunch of stuff and reckon with the inevitable and the more negative feelings I think everybody's going through. The thing that has helped me really understand where we are is being able to step back and be like, oh, actually, this makes total sense. This makes total sense as the end point or the end result of American hubris and empire, where we just cannot think of another culture having strategic dominance. We cannot think of America, a world in which America is not the leader, that everybody bows to and acquiesces, even though that's the world we're living in right fucking now. Tom, I'm hoping they aren't going to start a fucking draft. I don't want my brother being drafted to possibly die for fucking billionaires. I mean, I keep hearing, and again, I haven't found any like concrete sources on this, so I with a grain of salt, don't go repeating this, but I keep hearing of like contingents and battalions and like soldiers not wanting to fucking go on deployment because of what's happening. Because like there is no mission right now. It is a constantly changing, nebulous offensive of just like, yeah, we're just taking out their, we're achieving air superiority. We're gonna be we'll be taking out their leadership presently. Like every time Hegseth goes in front of a camera, it's like, yeah, all of our 18-year-olds are prepared to die right now, so that one day, God willing, we can have a McDonald's in Iran and they'll be able to taste the freedom flavor of the Big Mac. And it's just like, great, dude. This is the guy who I trust with plans for sure. Fighting out, but thank you for 50 bits. They called it the grave of empires for a fucking reason. Yeah. If Alexander the Great and the Soviets couldn't take it, what makes Keg's Breath and NCO and the National Guard who flew a desk for 3 years think he can do it? And that's the thing, is that, like, again, Hegseth and Trump are kind of the perfect duo for an American military strategy that will just completely topple our hegemony in the region and make international enemies out of America for probably generations to come. Because they are so beholden to their own hubris. They cannot admit they were wrong. They will do anything to avoid backing out of whatever tactical offensive decisions they make. Here we go. As the war entered its third week, Iran projected defiance after U.S. forces hit military sites at Karg Island, the Gulf outpost that handles 90% of Iranian oil exports. A drone attack had already disrupted a United Arab Emirates energy hub. The U.S. Embassy in Baghdad warned U.S. civilians to leave Iraq, and Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps urged the U.S. to move industries out of the region. Since Israel and the U.S. began attacking on February 28th, the war has killed more than 2,000 people, mostly in Iran, and created the biggest ever oil supply disruption, pushing up global oil prices. So what does he do in an effort to, I don't even know anymore. Like, I really think that he's stopped giving any fucks about the stock market. Like, I think he's realized that even he can't fucking win. And now they're saying Iran has weapons of mass destruction. That's funny. Yeah, El Salvador, that's like crazy. That's what they said in the early aughts. That's wow. Iran has weapons. Like, yeah, Paul Burns, I think it's probably both. Like, Paul Burns 79-51, and that's why I feel like a lot of the bad decisions of the war have less to do with stupidity and more to do with pride. I would say like they definitely correlate. I think that look, it doesn't take a sociologist, it doesn't take intimate study to look at Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth and knows that those are intensely prideful men. Since Israel and the U.S. At least 15 people were killed when an airstrike hit a refrigerator and heater factory in Isfahan, the semi-official Fars news agency said on Saturday. Israeli military did not immediately comment. Some oil loading operations have been suspended in the Fajura Emirate, a global ship refueling hub, industry and trade sources said on Saturday. The Emirates media office said a drone was intercepted, but civil defense forces as of late Saturday were still trying to put out a fire caused by falling debris. Jesus. Trump was spending... Fuck. That's the other thing that really, like, actually... I don't know. I have a little vestigial, just a lingering... From my upbringing as a Christian conservative, from my upbringing growing up, like, all through my high school, I believed, because I grew up poor, that I would eventually go into the military. Like, and that for a good long while, American military propaganda was incredibly effective on me. And then I turned into an adult and was like, you know what? Actually, I kind of don't want to actually. And thank God I didn't do that. It wouldn't have worked for me anyway. I don't think I would have been able. I have like medical stuff that would have prevented me. But it still pisses me off. Even as somebody who does understand that these are, people going over to fight wars on behalf of these pedophile, elite, colonialist assholes. It's the hypocrisy that really bugs me. It's like the same thing with televangelists, where I don't believe what televangelists tell me. And so sitting down to watch, Paula White or fucking, any of these loud old white assholes talk about how Jesus will bless you if you just give $5 more, like all that shit. It's the hypocrisy that gets me. It's not necessarily what they're talking about, the doctrine they're espousing. It's the fact that these people will go up and be fleecing thousands, millions right to their fucking face. That's the exact same instinct I have when I see Trump, quote unquote, spending the weekend at his Florida club. In an earlier post on his Truth Social platform, he anticipated that many countries would send warships to allow shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, conduit for 20% of the world's oil. He said in his post he hoped France, China, Japan, South Korea, Britain, and others would send vessels. In the meantime, the United States would be bombing the hell out of the shoreline and continually shooting Iranian boats and ships out of the water. French officials said on Friday their government was pushing on with efforts to assemble a coalition to secure the Strait of Hormuz once the security situation stabilizes. God damn you. Fighting Hobbit, thank you for 50 bits. For everyone worried about the draft, this is retired Navy talking. Not only would a draft require a detachment of soldiers in every state to go door to door to conscript 18 to 35-year-olds, require near unanimous congressional and senatorial consent to even start. Not only does Trump not have the votes, he doesn't have the legality to do so, putting aside the sheer volume of people who would refuse to serve. It's not going to happen. Yeah, I think the draft is like... I've never been worried about the draft. I think the draft is kind of an, like, and hey, if I'm proven wrong about this, I'm proven wrong about it. But this is not a war with large public support, right? And if somebody wants to join up to psychopathically go murder people, they're already in ICE. They're already in ICE. They're already in DHS. They're already on Border Patrol. They're already a cop, or they're going to go over there and do all that shit. Jessica Badua, thank you very much for $5. U.S. citizens have been indoctrinated to look down on Middle Easterners since the 90s. That's why our government estimated them. Yeah, it's so... I feel so robbed of a cultural understanding. Like, the world that we could have had in being able to better parse and understand our, like, the neighbors of humanity in the cradle of fucking civilization. Like, it took years for me to learn, that I had to learn, by the way, on my own, doing research and other stuff, of the just unlimited innovations, cultural breakthroughs, the sharing of history that occurred between Muslim empires and surrounding empires. Like, there's so many. Ugh. Yeah, give me a second. Let us go. Yeah, let me go to YouTube real quick. We'll watch a little bit of the fucking end of Tectone video. There we go. That was the one I wanted to watch.
Are trans.
All right, I'm going to run to the restroom, and then we will get started on this, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, chat. We will watch a little bit of this, and then I think I am going to tag out a little bit early. I'm not feeling great after yesterday even. But I do want to call attention to this, and then probably going to spend the rest of my night writing and stuff. Oh, hell yeah. Just to be here 49. By the way, DD, thanks again for recommending Tubi. The VHS and Rec series are on there. I have been living it up with Tubi, honestly. I canceled every subscription I had. Basically, I save like $80 a month.
It's been 8 months since my first video on Tectone covering his tumultuous and allegation-ridden relationships. Since then, a judge ruled in civil court that based on evidence and testimony presented, that Tectone likely raped,
a familial obligated rapist,
stalked,
I'm stalking you,
and was a self-admitted oofy-doofy schizophrenic.
I'm schizophrenic and I have a gun. I'm a very dangerous man.
If you are unaware and want to know more on the timeline of Tectone's history, be sure to check out my first video on him. However, briefly, in February of 2024, Tectone's ex-wife Freem was going to come out with SA allegations against him. Lawsuits in courtfare would then lock these allegations under an NDA. However, later, Tectone's ex-girlfriend Pink Chu would also make allegations, which this time became public. These allegations Pink made would ignite a long battle between the two, which would end up in civil court, where a judge found that there were reasonable grounds to believe that Tectone committed SA and stalking. Pink Chu would file for a protection order on August 21st of 2025, just 1 month after my second video, and it wasn't until January 23rd of 2026 that a trial would take place with everything on the line.
They go after my family and they call me a generational rapist in front of 1.2 million people. It's been a wild ride because I'm telling you, when I get exonerated, I'm going nuclear. I did everything for you. I helped you with everything. I fixed everything for you. I was there for you like nobody else was there for you in your whole life. I fantasize about getting the report that says your case has been indefinitely suspended.
They call him a generational rapist? Yes.
Be sure to like the video and leave a comment as it helps with the algorithm. If you want to support, you can do so with the links on screen now. This video will look to illustrate why Tectone lost his case in such a spectacular fashion. By considering testimony, court and medical records, along with greater contextual evidence from what Tectone has said on his streams, it should become quite clear why Tectone lost his case. Beyond the courtroom, we will also look at how Tectone has leveraged his relationship not to do. So what does Tectone do? Talks about and confirms the injury on stream.
You know what you can't do to women who have lip filler? You can't f their mouth because it'll rupture the fucking lip filler.
More on this later.
God, people, he is an actual rapist, by the way. Like, we learned this watching Shamu's last video. I don't know why I'm not subscribed to Shamu. On Tech, he is almost certainly a rapist. It just hasn't, like, you just need to read between the lines of the things that he has admitted to and the things that have been alleged.
Tectone was represented by Jeffrey Puryear, who has experience in cases involving SA and abuse allegations. On his front page, the one case that is listed in detail is a summary of a man he represented who was accused of abusing his stepdaughter. After Mr. Puryear represented him, he was found not guilty. Pink Chu was represented by Michelle L. Locke, who specializes in divorce, custody, and protective order applications. In Tectone's lawyer's opening statement in just the second paragraph, it contradicts what Tectone has lied to his audience.
Yes, this is the dude whose dad was the Army's biggest sex pest.
It's true that the
very funny way to say that.
Never paid rent, end quote. However, during Tectone's original response to these allegations, he claimed the
ruptured the lip filler. Is that even real? It's probably real. I have N. Alvarez, damn best we're looking like they're about to open the belly of their Tondo and save Luke from freeze. Everybody making fun of me. Everybody making fun of me. You know what? This is the last time I dress like a 1970s science fiction diplomat.
Exact opposite.
Last time, y'all.
That I would say, do your job. You don't pay rent. This is factually untrue. Here is you paying rent. Not one time, but multiple times. That is you paying rent.
He has also claimed the opposite of this as well.
It's Pink's responsibility. And the reality is that she's in my house role-playing as a goth Hooters orderer, waitress. And honestly, it's really annoying because the reality is she doesn't pay rent. The reality is she doesn't pay rent.
What Tectone was trying to sleight of hand here is that Pink originally was not paying rent. Allegedly, when Tectone made it Pink's job to perform oral acts on him in lieu of paying rent, she asserted that she wanted to pay rent. So Tectone's lawyer's opening statement totally...
Chat, that's fucking crazy. Imagine having a girl who is technically your partner and being like, yeah, I would rather pay rent than suck your dick. Talking about, and then coming up,
contradicting his own public response to SA allegations is a good sign as to how this trial would go. Pink would take the stand and flesh out some of the allegations being made and the start of their relationship. Quote, he told me, he said, I could change your life. I'm in OTK. I have connections. You should just move in with me. You won't have to pay
All
rent.
of these
and I will help you,
motherfuckers,
and you can
dog.
try to help me. Here's some vitamins. And was like, I'll change your life and we'll get you better. And kept telling me that he's going to change my career. In regards to OTK, the org Tectone was a part of, she stated, they have pretty much control in Austin to make and break your career. Whether you get invited to collaborations or get sponsorships, they also have control, and the owners own one of the largest management companies that I was also a part of at the time, or he got me into, because that was another promise he said he could do. According to Pink, originally she was doing graphic design and thumbnails for Tectone to compensate for paying rent, but this would become warped over time. Quote, I just would help him with some thumbnails. So in my assumption, it would just be helping him because I do graphic design and media. So I make his thumbnails and edited some things for him. It went from make this thumbnail for me to he kept telling me to suck his
God.
And at the time, he would tell me, do your job, you don't pay rent. And those are the words that I clearly remember. Okay, and how soon after you moved in did those issues begin? Pretty right away. I think once he had said that in particular, I felt disgusted and then told him I wanted to pay rent. And that's why soon after, towards the end, I believe it was the end of February, I started paying rent. I gave him $1,000.
Fucking
I said I didn't like that dynamic. It made me feel disgusting.
Word on the street is also that he has an actual micro penis, which doesn't, like, that fucks people up for some fucking reason. Men are just so unable to, if they are, and it's, look, it's unfortunate, I get it, but it's not the be all end all. It's really fucking not, dude. Like, whatever. That's
What Pink Chu alleges in her testimony paints Tectone as a very manipulative person.
Look at this shit.
Whenever
of course.
I had
Look at
about
how
he was treating me or anything, he said because I'm autistic, my version of reality is not like normal people, and that he would have to explain to me what was really going on. And you all had a journal, is that right? I kind of just started one. He had me write a list of things he said that were wrong with me that he said I needed to give my psychiatrist. And then he later graded me on the things he thinks I need to work on.
What's really fun about this camera, I knew it would work great, right? But Pink is stupid, and she has this thing called social anxiety.
God,
and what did he say that you needed to go see a psychiatrist for? That my memory recollection was incorrect. I believe I wrote it in my journal. I can't remember by specific.
I can't tell you how many times I go into something with good faith. The other person doesn't have proper memory recollection, gets confused about what they're doing, the stress of the situation gets to them, and then they say, oh, this is not the word, but they'll say things like, oh, you gaslighted me, you manipulated me, you're strawmanning me.
Awesome 0406, guys with acorn dicks have it rough, but y'all need to take a path of righteousness and become a femboy instead of a fascist. Look, Awesome, I don't know how familiar you are with the femboy community, but let me tell you, in my experience, it's generally the opposite. Femboys ain't having no problems. Let me tell you that. Juno, dear, do you have something to contribute on this? Even though you're not a femboy. You were for a bit. Then hey, you know what?
He said I was immature, that my memory recollection was incorrect, that my phrasing, he would say things and then I would phrase it incorrectly, that I lacked communication skills, that I was depressed and dooming a lot, that I wasn't a positive person. I didn't take accountability. I was not independent enough. I was paranoid and I had no emotional control. He would continue by claiming Tectone would have her write a list on paper of what she needed to tell her doctors during her online appointments.
And then I pull out the whiteboard.
Another insane thing we got out of this trial was that Tectone, when he had a disagreement with Pink, or when he wanted to explain why her memory recollection of events was incorrect, would actually sit Pink down at a whiteboard and John Madden gameplay why she can't remember events clearly, or why he's correct on something they disagree about. Pink's lawyer says to Tectone, you actually would sit her down with a whiteboard and go over everything to convince her she was wrong, right?
I'm
starting a femboy 9-inch nails
but I don't
tribute
understand
band.
what do you in what regard?
Just call
We
it
have talked
9
about a
inches.
whiteboard before.
Yeah, and you would use a whiteboard to show her that she was wrong in whatever position she was taking, that you all were disagreeing on, correct?
Oh, if we were to have an argument, then we weren't seeing eye to eye. Visual aid really helped her as well as her to me. This was another very frequent commonality.
9-inch
I would have to
nails.
sit down with her and I
Very
would
good.
tell you
Very
exactly
good.
what I did. I would take her, I would run the shower in the bathroom because it would be nice background noise because I know autistic people get overwhelmed from noises. So I would put that on to calm her. I would sit her on the floor and we would sit there for hours as I would bring out the coloring board and I would draw out the issues that you were experiencing.
Oh my,
and I would
fuck
help you
off,
through
dude.
each and every single one of your problems. And I did this from start to finish. Every time you had an issue.
And do you know what coercive control is?
Yes.
And you told her that she had memory problems, right?
I believe we have had discussions on her memory not being...
Yeah, I think they used an AI, which, like, come on, Shima, you don't need to do. Yeah, you don't need to do that.
You know, as sharp as attack. Sure, I'm sure we've had conversations about memories.
Besides game planning like John Madden with Pink on how she couldn't remember anything, Tectone was also guiding her as to what medications she should be taking. Pink's lawyer asked Tectone, did you tell her what things to tell her therapist to get prescribed certain medications?
I definitely tried to help her understand, you know, try to help her make sense of what's going on in her head. You know, she wanted to tell me this is kind of happening to me, and I'd say, well, maybe it's this.
Yeah, I don't know.
I just her in her journey to therapy and medication.
I would just rather you not do any kind of AI shit.
Guy using whiteboards for hours to explain to his girlfriend why she can't remember anything correctly, what pills she should be on, and what to tell doctors to get said pills.
There you go.
Directly after this, Pink's lawyer passes the witness, and Tectone's rep has nothing to say or add on to any of this. My takeaway, and I'm not a lawyer obviously, but Tectone's team must think that getting any further clarity on these topics will only make their client look worse. Why else wouldn't there be any pushback or further questioning? You really have to admire how poorly Tectone has handled this situation, which would inevitably make him look awful in court. At one point, Pink filed a cease and desist against him. So even after going to the police, he still would not stop harassing me, and I had an attorney send him a cease and desist telling him I had gone to the police and he needs to leave me alone. Did that stop him? No.
Nope.
In fact, he went public and laughed about it, said, she sent me a cease and desist for defaming her, but I'm going to keep defaming her.
I got sent a cease and desist about 3 months ago saying I need to stop defaming my ex, and then I continue saying the exact same shit that I've been saying. And the only thing that I got for Pink was a cease and desist because Pink sent me a fucking cease and desist to stop defaming her 8 months ago. And I've been going live and saying the same shit that I've been saying for 8 months. That's okay. More and more. It gets worse every day for everybody else besides me. She even has a cease and desist on me.
Right? She
sent me a cease and desist.
He literally sounds like Beavis and Butthead.
Never stopped talking a single time. All women with big tits, she fucking bought those too. So like, it's just fucking plot.
Like the second it breaks down, you really see the nice guy act fall away. And this is a universal trait, let's say, of abusers, is that they are so just giving and magnanimous and caring and loving, and they're so patient and kind. But the second that somebody trips on them, then they lose any of that. Which, by the way, for most people in normal relationships, is not really how it works. If you love somebody, if you care for them, if you really go out of your way to spend that long trying to understand them and you think that this is actually part of a mental health issue that they're having, you don't immediately jump to being like, yeah, no, bitch has got fake tits. She fucking paid for those too. And fucking, I haven't done anything. Like, this is not how you fucking talk about it. Really. You can't. Yeah, Karenelle, I can't imagine actually saying these things about my ex, and one of my exes slept with likely 10 plus people and ended our relationship to pursue my best friend. Ugh, Jesus Christ.
Brother? Like what? Like this is a 30-year-old woman saying this shit. I had to fucking take care of her ass after surgery. All because the bitch couldn't just say things didn't work out. She got the work. Guys, to give you even more context, I'm currently on a cease and desist by her.
Tectone would make so many subtweets and threats towards Pink that she put together an archive and list of these occurrences, which is almost 200 pages long. Pink's lawyer asked, and what kind of threats was he making online? I have a timeline of everything, but it was mainly, I'm going to sue you. He's also made threats that he's going to ruin me, that everybody was going to know the truth, that he was coming after me, that there were explicit material that he shared with multiple people, and that he will post them online if I don't retract statements. And it is almost 200 pages of it.
And don't worry, guys.
Fucking Christ.
I got something cooking for her.
Oh, do you?
Man,
do you?
Pink, you are going to love that. And now you've built your entire image on lies. And do you know what's going to happen when those lies crumble, Pink? You lose everything because you're a liar. Yep. And that's what's going to happen. Why y'all think Pink don't talk about me no more? Because she
what is with
knows.
There is something about these cracker-ass white bread motherfuckers that it's the same thing Asmund does, where they all sound like fucking teenagers discovering rap for the first time. Not even teenagers, just like white 10-year-olds. Just being like, the way that they use AAV in slang, it's so fucking performative. It's not natural in any way. It's so frustrating to listen to. Because it gives me the exact same feeling of cringe that, like you had when kids would try and talk tough in middle school.
She's because she knows she's yep. All she'll do is pin old tweets. She won't tweet anything new because she knows she's yep. Won't say which is weird because before she had all this to talk about. But man, Pink, if only you knew the shit that I knew. But don't worry, you'll find out. And what's crazy is, Pink, and I'm gonna let you know, I would still forgive you if you apologized publicly, of course. That's what's crazy. But you won't, and it's gonna be great to see what happens. You had to say, nah, he did all that. No, I didn't. Shut the f up. Because your ass always got to cry about some bullshit. They're gonna say, well, he my family, he bombed my house, he set fire to a 7-Eleven, and he hit me. It's like, just fucking shut up.
Even after Pink filed a protection order in August 2025, Tectone was still making threats on his Twitter.
They are going to hate what I
Bake
found
Up,
today.
thank you for becoming
Your
a member.
loss is now even more inevitable. Now I wait, winky face.
Attached to this tweet were decapitated heads of an anime. Okay, and when you see these messages that he posts like this, how did you interpret them? Like, how did it make you feel? Like he's coming after me. Okay, has he made threats about going nuclear when the legal situation between you and he ends? Yes, I believe it was at the time he was showing his guns and things.
Pretty much all of my homies, and myself included, are just like, all right, because I'm telling you, when I get exonerated, I'm going nuclear. I'm just being straight up. I am counting the days, bro. I fantasize.
Okay, and in fact, he's indicated on social media that he's schizophrenic and is strapping, referring to weapons. Is that correct? Yes.
Dead people can talk. That's what people will learn very soon. I know everything, and that's why they fear me, and that's why they try to discredit me. And once again, guys, I'm schizophrenic and I have a gun. I'm a very dangerous man.
One of my suspicions of Tectone was that after being accused of abuse by his ex, he began to take on a personality as someone in the far right. In order to circumvent the audience he lost because of his
many such
controversies.
cases,
In other
many
words,
such
scripting.
cases.
And you can definitely see this change in his content as well.
Some of my best friends are trans. Because they have not felt the same pain that certain content creators have felt in this community. I mean, there's been racism, sexism, racial slur towards Asian people, which is something that I do not tolerate whatsoever. I do not tolerate hate speech whatsoever. I do not tolerate anything derogatory towards any specific race, gender, anything whatsoever. To be honest, I think I'm a pretty progressive guy. People are trying to kill white people. They absolutely are. I'm going to say something that a lot of people don't like when I say this. I believe that white lives matter. I do.
Tectone in court was complaining about the amount of hate he got online and trying to attribute it to Pink. So when Pink's lawyer brought up his sudden political change of heart, this is what Tectone had to say.
So if I can explain on that, when all of these things came out, I lost pretty much a large chunk of my audience, and content creators kind of have to pivot what they're doing to other topics.
Oh, he just admits it. Oh, that's fucking crazy, dude.
So originally,
the idea of having to come out and be like, yeah, when I was accused of being a rapist, and I don't know, I didn't mean to go as Jesse Ventura there. When I was accused of being, no, I'm not gonna do that to Jesse. We love you, Jesse. But like, accused of being a rapist and sexual assaulter, and then being like, yeah, you know, hey, sometimes content creators, we gotta pivot to match our new audience, and it's like, oh my god, he just admits it. A Bay Cop, thank you very much for $25. Dog, for real, I'm hitting you with some cash just because I was literally complaining to my partner at the same time you were about these disgusting using AAV like a 10-year-old. Thank you very much. Thank you for 25, Bay Cop. I appreciate it. Little Sushi Eater, thank you very much for following also.
I never really covered anything political or talking about, you know, white privilege. But yeah, I would say my content definitely had to find a new route on how to be successful online. And so unfortunately, I had to make a little bit more extreme comments to be successful in the career that I'm in now.
Tectone, politically speaking, is a total fraud. It's just further evidence that he is portraying a character to benefit himself. It's abundantly clear from him calling himself a progressive in earlier streams.
To be honest, I think I'm a pretty progressive guy.
To him admitting in open court that he is grifting.
Some of my best friends are trans.
At one point in the trial, Pink retells the story of a time she went to a mutual friend and told her that Tectone was making her give him oral.
His dad is a
Tectone
famous,
found
which
out,
is an
he freaked
insane
out
thing
and made
to
her
say.
call that friend.
Being able to
find out
call
what she-
anybody a quote-unquote famous rapist is fucking nuts. If, honestly, Tech, if I were in the unenviable position of being the son of a very famous rapist, like Tectone is, I would not do as much as he does to call attention to myself, especially if I was also accused of sex crimes. That's just my thing. I don't know.
She knew and sent text messages to Tectone for plausible deniability. I told her that he would make me give him oral actions, and she freaked out. And I'm like, but it's all fine, it's not a big deal. And I got scared because I didn't know if I could trust her. He then, the next day, sat me in the office and sat me in a chair, and he's like, I'm going to get on the phone. I'm going to step inside and out. And he stepped outside of the office and said, you're going to tell me everything you told her in detail, and I want to know if you're lying. And we're going to have her on the phone, back and forth, and find out all of the information. You're going to text me that you want to perform this oral action on me, or else I'm not going to trust you. Shortly after all of this is said in the courtroom, Pink's lawyer passes the witness, and they have absolutely nothing to say. They don't try to question her on this history of events whatsoever. Tectone takes the stand after, and the story is never commented on again. Shockingly, Tectone's team were the first to bring up the original DM from Pink, who immediately starts to recount a small portion of context in this incident. When she gives the full testimony of this incident later, there is no pushback from Tectone's lawyers, and they opt to not even bring it up once Tectone takes the stand.
Degloving
Ask
machine.
yourselves,
No,
why
he
wouldn't they
needs
push
to be.
back
He
on
needs to be
this?
put.
This is a
he needs to be put in the fucking anime GIF machine. He needs to be put in the anime girl GIF machine right now. Do not pass go. Do not collect $100. Right to jail. Right to jail. And in Minecraft, of course, I would never advocate anybody be put in a real anime girl machine.
Huge claim by Pink, especially
Mostly
when this
normal
text Tectone's
most
team brought
normal
forward
military
was
kid.
really the only
Oh,
substantial
man.
evidence that they even used in court. They aren't going to push back on Pink with this. Tectone isn't even going to say that it isn't true. Why?
While everyone around me was begging for nudes from everyone, the amount of times I was just regularly talking to a girl and they offered her to send a nude photo. People don't understand the amount of goodwill that and it's so annoying to see so many young men have their brains poisoned by the dipshits like this, who will essentially indoctrinate children who don't know any better into genuinely believing that they have to go through all of this work to get any amount, just a crumb of nookie, just a crumb of sexual attention or validation, when really, let me chat, do you want the big secret? And people will tell me it's bullshit. And granted, I have a little bit of pretty privilege. I do understand that. But do you want to know the big secret? Anytime you're walking, you're like, oh, why can't I get a girl? And then you see like a bigger dude, like maybe a little bit husky guy, maybe a little bit of a neck beard, and he's not like super stylish. He's dressed okay, but then he is with a gorgeous woman. And you sit there wondering, and this is something that so many men wonder, where they're like, God, how did they score that? Like maybe they're fucking loaded, maybe they're swinging big. No, it's probably because they have a good personality. That's what it is. That's what it fucking comes down to. Can you just talk to somebody like a normal human being? So I had a little bit of once upon a time, a little bit of let's call it a reputation, as I would take people home from a local bar, because I would just sit and talk with them, and we would get to talking, and it would end up in a one-night stand. Like that was it. And some of them I even became good friends with. Like, I didn't have a partner at the time. I didn't have like a regular person I was going out with. So you can just have friends with people. And guess what? You are able to do that in a casual and healthy manner as an adult with people your own age. It's people put themselves through so much more rigmarole than they need to for this shit.
When Pink's allegations of SA went public, a main defense Tectone employed multiple times on stream and X was that Pink was weaponizing SA against him because he had also been SA'd.
And to imply that
oh
I'm a
my god,
rapist
dude.
after I myself have been raped twice? It's just a little bit crazy, isn't it?
So it was interesting that on the stand, after being sworn in by his lawyer, the very first thing Tectone's team brought up was this incident, which was his sister trying to give him crabs. However, utilizing this when he is trying to persuade outside parties.
Hold up a minute. Never mind. We don't have time for Jake Hung 5068. Tectone needs to go to the Bane prison. He needs to go to the Bane prison from fucking Absolute Batman. That's where he needs to go. That, like, he needs to go to Arc M. They need to be hitting him with that shit that made Batman put razors under his skin to break out of jail.
On his stream and X that he is innocent isn't very effective. Realistically, trauma tends to perpetuate trauma. There are entire academic and research studies done on this topic where early life abuse was significantly associated with many disorders, but also what Tectone is being accused of. Not that I am claiming in particular that this is a cycle, just that it's not a great defense for Tectone in the slightest. And if you were a cynic in regards to Techie, you may even call it manipulative to use it as a defense, how he has on the internet.
Oh?
It is shocking how bad Tectone is on the stand. He says, quote, "I'm not going to lie,"
we are indeed.
5 separate times throughout the trial.
It was pretty important to me because I am lazy. I'm not gonna lie. And I speed. I'm not gonna lie. You know, what if I get her pregnant? And also, you know, I'm not gonna lie. And I'm not going to lie. I was, shortly after we broke up, interested in another girl. Pretty lazy guy in my life. I'm not gonna lie.
Tectone several times goes on insane long tangents where he throws in information not even being asked by his own lawyer. For instance, his lawyer.
I'm like, hey, hold on. Let's not go off on streamers for. Hang on. Listen, we can't be. He was doing it in a deposition, but let's not go off on streamers for going on insane, long, unrelated tangents. Okay, let's not. We don't need that kind of friendly fire. I don't need that kind of smoke right now. What the fuck?
Or simply ask, when you broke up the first time.
Yes.
There
was, I want to clarify, there was 3 times. Once I believe Pink has forgotten about. There was one where Pink wanted me to try to have sex, and I swore to her that I would try. And I did, and it just didn't work. I was too afraid of committing vaginal sex. It's not a thing to take lightly. I'm not a guy that sleeps around. It's, you know, what if I get her pregnant? And also, you know, I'm not going to lie. The unfortunate reality is that I did have a fear of Virginias. It's still hard for me to look at Virginias. I'm a straight man, but something about them just scares me.
Dog, shit, you could not get out of me. You could not get vaginas scare me. Even if it was true, you could not get that out of me under torture. Like, you could do Solo, Eli Roth hostile shit to me. What the fuck? How? That's so good. Also, the Virginia's as censoring. I appreciate that more than fucking a lot of other censorship I've seen.
And so, you know, when I lost my virginity, I had to even close my eyes just to kind of go through the motions. Sorry. Am I rambling? What was the exact question?
So the first time that you broke up?
Yes. Okay. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, there was the one time where she didn't get...
John?
Yes?
Hold on.
Yes.
Imagine you're the judge. You are presiding over this protection order case, which includes multiple incidents of alleged assault. And then out of nowhere, not even prompted by the lawyer, the defendant goes off on a tirade about how he is terrified of laying pipe. Shortly after, a bizarre and unprompted rant about Tectone's fear of female anatomy. During a hearing for a protection order that includes SA, Tectone would again go off on a tangent in which he presents himself as a philanthropist. When did she move in?
Oh, really quick. She would frequently complain about her house, and I had already flown in my other buddy Lauro to stay with me for free because he was struggling. And, you know...
Throwing shade 934, have you been following flesh simulators? No. Again, we kind of talked about it earlier, but I have such little time for drama and shit. I follow Jake. I don't remember his name, but I've been kind of keeping abreast of the flesh sim situation through that because I don't care. Honestly, I don't have it in me to give a shit about like Twitter weirdos right now with everything else happening and all the other fucking things I'm working on. All right, chat. I have to get going. I have somewhere to be at 6. So, sorry for the shorter stream today, but let's go say hi to, let's go over, well, go say hi to Run Button, one of my favorite YouTuber and streamers. I've watched their videos for so long. They were a major inspiration to me. Oh, really quick. Sorry, Dexter Bunko. Thank you for $4.99. I don't have pretty privilege, but I don't have issues finding partners. What worked for me, learn to cook. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I'm actually preparing a dinner, not right now, but for this week. Yeah, so stay tuned. We will have more streams coming up, more videos coming up on Monday. And yeah, go say hi to Run Button over on Twitch. And I hope you all take it easy, take some time away, reconnect with some art, and stay safe and stay smart out there.